and have it imprinted on their DNA that prestige comes from being physical are sat in classrooms and told to sit still, read and be quiet.
I think there's a danger that white working class boys, particularly in the inner city, are missed, and what in many cases may be something to do with academic and intellectual achievement and development becomes a behavioural problem, and those youngsters might find themselves, you know, in behaviour units or being sent to PRU units or whatever, and that will be the route by which their needs get met after the event.
Their lack of attainment makes them vulnerable. Vulnerable is wrong, and so they cannot accept the help they need, as they've been culturally conditioned out of seeking help. You are not allowed to display vulnerability.
I think enough people in the profession know that it's an issue. I don't know that it's been acknowledged at government level or at ministerial level. I'm sure, again, they perfectly well know it.
This school didn't change overnight. You know, there were a number of children used to having a fight virtually every day. Same ones. You know, you'd exclude them, they'd come back, somebody would say something, and it would kick off again.
The peer group takes over from the parent at too young an age, and success in a peer group involves prestige-seeking activities, which is basically violence. To attain this prestige, you must become fluent in some kind of physical violent behaviour, and this prestige within your peer group will inevitably destroy your educational chances.
One of the key areas for violent behaviour is lunchtime, because tensions that might have built up the night before are starting to brew into the morning, but are being contained because the teachers are teaching good lessons. But what we can do is make it very difficult to have that type of behaviour. And who are the best people at conflict resolution? Your teachers who you've got relationships with.
To ensure a high staff visibility at break times, Paul pays teachers £10 each for doing a lunch duty.
And we'll empower the staff to stop any conflicts, support them to the hilt, that if they get any bad behaviour, that it will be dealt with severely so that they can be visible and that they will stop problems at source. And what happened, and what has happened over a period of time, is that children, here we go again, on what I've said before, are really comfortable with this. They like it.
Fellas, how are we doing? You alright? Good.
This is a reassuring blanket around us here. I don't have to get involved in certain types of behaviours. If I do get involved in certain types of behaviours, I'm going to get picked up immediately, because there's a member of staff standing 5 yards away from me there, there's one over there, there's one over there.
You can, but you can go over into that space over there.
Can you play in the space?
All right. And actually, it gives you a little bit more of a circle then, doesn't it?
We can tackle each other.
Yeah. It can be very enjoyable because it gives you an opportunity to speak to the children in a context outside the classroom. So you're not just talking to them about their business studies, you're talking to them about the football match that was on last night, about how England are doing in the Ashes, or what's going to be happening at the weekend. You're having conversations with them, which I think you mentioned earlier, which show you care about them as people. That's not my fault, is it? No, not really. Well, you know that. You know that.
How many staff do you have outside at lunchtime?
20 on each side. Which
so 40 altogether.
40 altogether. It's a huge outlay.
I don't think teachers would just do it for the £10 if the school wasn't a safe working environment, but it is also an opportunity to really build those relationships.
There's another way of looking at white working class underachievement, which is to say that white working class educational failure is in fact the class system working very well indeed. Resistance between classes reinforces it. There is in Bermondsey, relative to a politically active past, a marked decline in involvement in a political process. Just over 50% of the local population vote. On to anecdotal stuff. I'm going to read you out the sum total of political knowledge of the 2,000 or so children I've ever taught. Here it is. Tony Blair is Prime Minister, and there is that Cameron bloke.
what I like about this is I can go back and I can start adjusting a few of the things in my class that I know I've been doing wrong. And hopefully I can see in a few weeks' time that at least I won't get that expression on the faces of some of the kids.
When you feel that you're kind of working almost in isolation kind of thing, or that you have these kind of beliefs, and it's good for someone to validate them, and validate the things that you thought were the case and things that you thought were issues that needed raising, that other people are thinking about them, and it's entering the agenda, which I think is probably the most welcoming part of what Phil said.
Passport.
Yeah. It's you know, and also saying that actually you're right in some of what you're thinking. You know.
It's really important that class is something that has been neglected for way too long. Margaret Thatcher taught us that there was no such thing as that, and that's been perpetuated with the recent Labour government, and it's never been the truth. There's always been, you know, underachievement of white working class children, and it's just a refreshing change to see it being addressed.
I perceive that white working class kids nowadays have a lack of understanding of their position in society. And to know where you want to get to and what you've got to do to get there, you've got to know where you are first.
To try and make learning irresistible to white working class children, we have to understand where they're coming from and what their values are, and we have to show them that we understand where they're coming from and we respect that, and there is a place for it in school and in education.
Every single child I've taught in my very limited understanding of these has sat transfixed in fascination. If you just lay out the 3 social orders, they don't know it, and they find it absolutely amazing, and then you tell them where they are, you can see their eyes widen and think, I better do something.
I think the big elephant in the room for the last 10 years, which we haven't talked about, actually longer in terms of the whole history of New Labour, which is, in essence, a retreat from class politics. And I quite understand why, because we kept failing and losing elections when we were too closely associated with a very specific part of the electorate. But we've gone the other way, and we've now camped out in Middle England to the degree by which that's premised on a retreat from class, and actually certain intellectual traditions which assume the working class has withered away, and we literally have disinvented it. Where in actual fact, if you look empirically about where the jobs are being generated, and if you look at, you know, the real forces that lie behind structural immobility and inequality, they're driven by issues of class, as they always have been.
It shouldn't be a qualification that somebody is a working class head teacher, but I said it does help. It does help to have that emotional connection, that class connection with people, because they sense it. They can feel it from you if you connect with their experiences. How's your shirt?
It's tucked in.
Has it come out again for a change?
Yes.
Yeah? Safe journey. Give my regards to Mum.
Hi, sir.
There's nobody rushing out, running wildly. They're coming out in a calm, measured way and looking happy. Well, thank you for your advice on how to run the school. I appreciate it. You're welcome, sir. Thank you. Good man. Thank you very much. Safe journey, gents. Thank you. My pleasure.
Any back chat? You always get the last word.
I'm about 50 steps ahead of them, and I've had to be over the years. And they like that, I think. I think they like it because they like a bit of fun themselves. The victory came, did it? We snatched on Saturday. Yeah, told you, didn't I? West Ham fan. We've got to have a lot of sympathy with West Ham at the moment. What I'm looking to do all the time is to make them feel as though they're welcome here and valued.